We're almost at the end of this training series. What we've done so far is we've brought our Revit model as a live link into Twinmotion. We've tweaked the materials to make it look good for rendering. And we have added the lights to really liven up the space. There's just a few more things to do, like add this plant at the corner, maybe add a few people and some accessories to really make the space look like it's lived in or it's being used. Let's just first quit out of this media mode and let's zoom a little to the corner where we're gonna put the plant. To place the plant, we have to go to the library panel again, under Objects, under Home, under Living Room, then Plants. Then if you scroll down a little, let's use this one, Kentia. And then you can rotate it to whatever angle you want. And if you're not happy with the size, for example, I just want to increase the scale of this object in the X and Y direction, you can always click on this XYZ button at the lower right of the screen. While you still have the plant selected, change this scale to 150 for the red axis and 150 also for the green axis. I think the blue axis is okay at 100%. It will become too tall if we make it 150. Yeah. So let's retain that at 100% scale. So that's how simple it is to place the plant. Let me try to rotate it a little so that it's not so spread out. Now let's try adding a person to the scene. So same thing, just go back to the parent directory here in library. Then you should see characters. And since this is just a still image, we can use post-humans. If we're doing a video, you can actually use animated humans. And this one we can discuss in a further or in a later topic. But for now, let's use post-humans. And since this is a office environment, let's use business category. Then look for something you want. In this case, I'm gonna use this one, Eugene, with the laptop. And I'm gonna place him here on the seat. So you'll notice if you hover over any surface, that model that you're dragging will sort of snap to that surface, even to the vertical ones. But in this case, I want him to snap on this chair. And then after placing him, I can just rotate accordingly. And let me just make sure he's sitting nicely on the chair and that his laptop is resting on the table. So sometimes you may need to do this. You have to bring it down a little so that it's just nicely laying flat on the table and the feet also are not hanging in the air. So this is good enough. And then let's add another person, maybe someone standing and on a call like this guy. And I'll just make him face this way. So let's see how that looks like in our rendering. Alright. Aside from plants and people, one thing I like to add to my scene are some decorations or some accessories. So in this meeting room environment, usually we should have a TV. So let's try putting one. So still under the library, objects, home, living room, then electronic appliances. There are a few TV models here. So let's try to use something bigger. Or maybe this one. And then let's also put a tablet here. so that maybe this guy was sitting here and this was his tablet. And then finally, a TV controller, of course. We can also add a few office accessories. If you go back to Home, Office, Accessories, there are a few clutter elements here that could really make the scene more like it's being used by actual people. So let's put that one. Let's put a coffee mug here and see how that affects our scene. So yeah, just a little bit of clutter like this helps a lot. And finally, to make the scene look even more organic or lived in, let's introduce a few imperfections to the scene. What I mean by that is simply rotating one of these chairs, maybe. Just a slight rotation, just to differentiate it from the others, so that the chairs don't look like it's perfectly aligned, because that never happens in real life also. So something like that is enough to really push the realism of our rendering. The good thing about all the little things we've done so far here in this episode is that it doesn't affect our Revit model. So all the accessories we've added, the people, the plant, and even the slight rotations we did to the chairs, it doesn't reflect back on the Revit model. As you can see, the chairs are still perfectly aligned. So even if I sync this, Twinmotion will not affect our Revit model. It's always a one-way street from Revit to Twinmotion. And that actually works to our advantage. So even if I sync, you see, Twinmotion was able to retain the slight rotations we did to the chairs. And that's very advantageous for us because somebody could be already doing the documentation drawings in Revit, while another person is doing the renderings in Twinmotion, and it all works harmoniously together.